Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so first, let us learn about the danger of not understanding the perception and danger of considering the perception as mine, myself, and also the bliss of detachment to perception. The story of an Arahant Bhikkhuni from suttafriends.org. So what are we going to learn again? The danger of not understanding the true nature of perception and the danger of craving for perception. And finally, the bliss of letting go of craving for perception. Do you like? Do you like to learn her story? This is a true story. This is from the Pali Canon, from the original discourses of the Buddha. This is found in the Khuddaka Nikaya, Theri Gatha, the verses of enlightened nuns. And this is the translation of the verses of Arahant nun Isidasi. Who is going to read so we can learn?
I can read, Bhante.
Okay.
The city of Pataliputa, which is known as the Kusuma Kingdom, is like an ornament for the entire earth. Two nuns who were born into the Sakyan clan possessed good qualities, and they were living in that city. One of those nuns was named Isidasi. The second one was named Bodhi. Both were very virtuous. Both delighted in meditation and had memorized the Buddha's teaching well. They had shaken off their defilements. One day they went on their alms round and had their meal. After washing their bowls, they sat happily in a secluded place. On that occasion, this conversation took place. Bodhi: Noble Isidasi, you are gorgeous and you are still in the prime of your youth. What fault did you see in the household life that made you become a nun? Asked in this way in a secluded place, Isidasi, who was skillful in the teaching of the Dhamma, replied, Then Bodhi, listen to how I became a nun.
Sadhu, sadhu. We rejoice in your reading, Rob.
Thank you.
Another Kalyanamitta to continue?
Can read Bhante.
Okay, Arya.
My father was a wealthy merchant in the city Ujjain. He was restrained by virtue. I was his only daughter, dear, charming, and beloved. Once, from the city of Saket, a marriage was proposed to me from a high caste family. That man was also a wealthy merchant. My father gave me away to that family as their new daughter-in-law. From then on, every morning and every evening, approaching my mother-in-law and father-in-law, I worshipped their feet. I obeyed every rule they commanded. Every time I saw my husband's sisters, brothers, and his other family members, I would immediately stand up and give them my seat. I satisfied them with food, drink, sweets, and anything they desired. I served them as best as I could. I attended to their every need. When my husband arrived, I would wash his feet. When I approached him, I always worshipped him with joined palms. Taking a comb, perfumes, jewelry, and a mirror, I myself adorned my husband as though I was his servant, as though I was a servant girl. I prepared the rice myself. I washed the dishes myself. I looked after my husband as a mother looks after her only son.
Sadhu, sadhu. We rejoice in your reading. Is she a faithful wife?
Yes, Bhante.
Yes, Bhante.
We don't find these kind of wives. They were only in India, okay, in 2,600 years ago. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, another Kalyanamitta to continue.
Can read Bhante.
Okay, Arya.
Though I lived attending to every need of my husband and worked hard like a servant, organizing everything humbly, not being lazy, and being virtuous, my husband would scold me angrily. He said to his mother and father, I will leave this house and go. I won't have anything to do with this family life together with Isidasi. Parents, do not speak in this way, son. Isidasi is undoubtedly a smart and lucky wife. She has always been energetic and never lazy. This being the case, why are you so displeased with Isidasi? Husband, yes, she has done no harm to me, but I will not live with Isidasi. She is extremely boring. I have had enough of her. I will leave this house without telling any of you. Hearing his words, my father-in-law and mother-in-law asked me, what offense have you committed? Tell us truthfully what you have done. Isidasi, I haven't offended him at all. I have not harmed him or said any harsh words to him. Sorry, that's a notification. What can I do when my husband hates me? Overcome by grief and pain, his parents led me back to my father's house, saying, we have lost the goddess of fortune, who kept our son safe.
Sadhu, sadhu. We rejoice in your reading.
So,
Another Kalyanamitta to continue.
I can read Bhante.
Okay, so now what happened? Aina, what happened to Isidasi?
Oh, Isidasi should return, send home to her parents' house.
Isn't that
Maybe
sad?
maybe Bhante.
Not
Let's we
sad?
find out. Yeah, I think she feels sad.
Yeah, So and that she divorced, right?
Yeah, Bante.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what happened next?
This time, my father gave me in marriage to a wealthy family who earns half of what my father did. Just like before, I only lived in their house for a month. Then he too rejected me, although I served him like a slave girl, not harming him and possessed of virtue. Finally, my father brought home a man who lived by begging food from others and told him, "Throw away your rags and plate, be my son-in-law." He also lived with me for only a short time and then said to my father, "Give back my rags, pot and cup. I'm going to live by begging again." Then my father, mother, and all my relatives told him, "What have we not done for you here in this house? Tell us what you want and we can arrange that for you in a minute." Spoken to in this way, he said, "I am very well strong enough to live on my own. I have had enough with Isidasi. I don't want to live together with her under the same roof." I allowed him to go and he departed. All alone, I thought to myself, without taking leave from anyone, I must go and commit suicide or become a nun. In my
Okay,
seat,
sadhu.
sadhu.
So what happened? For the second time and third time, the husband rejected her, right?
Yes, Bante.
But fortunately, she didn't get angry, but she thought she was very unfortunate. And finally, did she know anything about karma?
I don't think so, Bante.
Yeah, we cannot think like that because she didn't have much connection with the Buddha's teachings. So can you imagine the suffering and pain in her mind, like when she was rejected by the, by others, by the society, by relatives. We can see the similar situations in the present world as well, right?
Mm.
They suffer a lot mentally. They are depressed. But now she had two choices, either to commit suicide or become a nun. So that means maybe she already has seen nuns going on their arms round, or maybe she was close to a monastery. So that was in some way she was fortunate because she knew about nuns. But what happens if she didn't know about nuns or this Dhamma path? She would only have one option, right? Which is to commit suicide. That is the case in many of the people who are depressed in this world. We can see how it happens in the world. When some people are depressed, they only have the option to commit suicide, and they think that is what they should do. They don't have any other paths. That is very sad and unfortunate. Okay, but let's see what happened to Isidasi. Another Kalyanamitta to read.
Can I try to read, Bante?
Okay.
In my city, there lived a noble nun named Jinadatta, who was an expert in the discipline, was well learned in the Dhamma, and possessed virtue. She came to my father's house on her alms round. Seeing her in our house, I rose up from my seat and offered it to her. She sat down, and I worshipped her feet, and I offered her food. I served her with food and drink, sweets, and whatever was prepared at my house. Then I said to her, "Noble nun, I too wish to become a nun." Then my father said to me, "My dear daughter, practice the Dhamma while living at home. Serve recluses with foods and drinks." I fell down crying at my father's feet. Worshipping, I said to him, "No, I am experiencing the result of my own bad actions done by me alone. Let me destroy this evil." Then my father said to me, "The best of humans, the Buddha, attained the greatest goal, Nibbana. May you also attain the greatest goal, enlightenment, Nibbana." I worship my father, mother, and the community of my relatives. I became a nun. 7 days after becoming a nun, I attained the triple knowledge.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Rejoicing, really. Can you believe that she became an Arahant nun? Finally, she received the permission. And now we can see that because she fortunately she knew about something about karma, right? Because she says to father, let me destroy this bad karma by myself, right? And she already understood that there is some connection with a bad karma to this unfortunate situation and unfolding. So, and also father knew about the Buddha, about Nibbana, Buddha's enlightenment, and she had confidence in that enlightenment of the Buddha. That is very fortunate, because now the father also understands about the path. So it took, like, as an ordinary wife, she was miserable, she was unfortunate, she was sad, she failed. But as a nun, think about these two different lives and the effects, the results. As a nun, she was one of the most fortunate nuns, because it took only how many days? Only 7 days after becoming a nun, she attained freedom. She escaped from a round of rebirths. How do you know? Because triple gem here, triple knowledge. Sorry, triple knowledge means knowledge to see past lives. Triple means 3. Okay, so knowledge to see past lives, she gained the first knowledge, and the knowledge to see karma and result, that's the second knowledge, and the final knowledge is the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths and attain Nibbana. So those are the triple knowledge. She was very fortunate. So now this is a very good lesson, right? If we try to go in one path and we fail there, we should not think that we are always failing, right? We are always unfortunate. We should not think like that. We should change the path, and maybe there is another path lies ahead that brings fortune to us. Do normal people understand this, or do they try to stuck in only in one path? They normally try to stuck in one path, and they don't think about the options. So that is something that we should explore. There are different paths, and some paths bring us unfortune, some paths bring us fortune, right? Isn't that a lesson of this path, of this Dhamma? This,
Yes.
especially the story of Isidasi. Yeah. Okay, another Kalyanamitta. Now she can see her past lives. You know what she wanted to see as soon as she got the knowledge to see past lives? Can you guess? What did she want to know?
The karma
Why
she
she was
performed.
suffering.
She wanted to know the karma, right? She knew that I didn't do anything bad in this life. I was like a servant girl in front of the husband, but I didn't do anything bad. I didn't hate anybody. I didn't do anything wrong. This must be definitely coming from my past lives, right? So that is a very wise thing. So now you understand the importance of believing in the past lives. Otherwise, you are stuck in some problems. You cannot find solutions. Now she's about to reveal about her past lives. Who is going to read next?
Until I can read, Janet. Yeah.
Okay, Janet.
I can recollect my last 7 births. The pain I have been experiencing was a result of an evil action done by me in those past lives. I will explain it to you. Please listen attentively. 7 lives ago, in the city of Arahant, I was a wealthy goldsmith, intoxicated by pride in my youth. I engaged in sexual misconduct with the wives of others. When I passed away from that life, I immediately fell into hell. I was boiled in hell for a long time. Once I escaped from the life in hell, I was reborn in the womb of a female monkey. 7 days after my birth, 7 days after my birth, an elder monkey, the leader of the herd, castrated me. This was the result of that evil action of seducing the wives of others. I passed away from that life and I was reborn in the womb of a one-eyed lamb female goat in the Siddhawa forest. There too I was castrated. I walked for 12 years carrying kids on my back. My wound was worm infested and the disease worsened. This was the result of that evil action of seducing the wives of others. I passed away from that life and was reborn in the womb of a cow belonging to a cattle dealer. I was reddish up. In the 12th month after my birth, I was castrated. I plowed the earth, dragging a heavy plow and pulling a heavy cart. I became blind and diseased. This was a result of that evil action of seducing the wives of others. I passed away from that life and I was reborn as a homeless street child. I was neither a woman nor a man. This was a result of that evil actions of seducing the wives of others.
Sadhu, sadhu. We rejoice in your reading. Dear Dhamma friends, now do you understand the danger of not understanding the true nature of perception? This is the craving for perception of visual objects. In this case, Isidasi's case, 7 lives ago, was she a woman or a man?
A
Who's a
man.
man?
He was a man.
She was a man. Now you can understand how this changes. And in the 6th life, she was a?
She was a monkey.
Monkey.
No, before that,
Hell. I think
she was in hell. She was a hell
She was in
being.
hell.
She was a hell being. That's the 6th life. In the 5th life,
it's a
Monkey.
monkey, right? 4th life,
One-eyed female goat.
female
As a
goat.
goat.
See how this changes. And the next life, she was
Reddish calf.
reddish cow.
Yeah.
Next life,
Homeless street child.
homeless street
Homeless.
child. Neither woman nor a man. This is the result of that karma of sexual misconduct. Another Kalyanamitta to read.
I can read.
Bhante,
Go
Okay,
ahead.
Manisha.
Okay. I died in my 30th year. I suffered a lot. I was reborn as a little girl into a poor carter's family that had little wealth and was greatly oppressed by creditors. Then Because of their large unpaid debt, a caravan leader took me forcefully from my family and dragged me away screaming. Then, in my 16th year, the marriageable age, the caravan leader's son, named Isidasi, took me as his wife. He had another wife who was virtuous and possessed of good qualities. She was very loyal towards her husband. I became jealous of her and made our husband angry towards her. It was my own sexual misconduct and jealousy that resulted in my husband's rejecting me, although I served them like a servant girl. But now I have destroyed entirely all the results of all those evil actions. These verses were said by Arahant Nan Isidasi.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Please worship the Arahant Nan Isidasi saying sadhu, because she was fortunate. She's a fortunate Arahant Bhikkhuni to realize this deep Dhamma and put an end to this entire karma thing and attain ultimate freedom, Nibbana. Can you imagine the suffering she experienced? Doesn't the whole world read this?
Yes.
No, Bhante.
The whole world should read this story
should
of Isidasi, right? To
Yes,
know the danger of not understanding the true nature of perception. This is the result of being intoxicated by craving for perceptions, right? Perception for visual objects, beauty is a part of the perception. Perception of all these external objects. Now you understand why we should do the Vipassana meditation, why we should follow the Noble Eightfold Path, why we should attain Nibbana. You understand now? That's why from time to time, I want you to read these stories. Otherwise you think, oh, deep Dhamma, learning deep Dhamma, practicing the deep Dhamma is very hard. Maybe it's not for me. Let me do something else. We think like that. But do you understand the purpose of learning the deep Dhamma?
Yes, Bhante.
It's a must. It's an essential thing in the life to learn the deep Dhamma, to understand the true nature of suffering, to realize the Four Noble Truths. This is not, you cannot take this for granted. This is definitely a serious thing. Now you can see sometimes we are men, right? Sometimes we are women, sometimes animals, sometimes hell beings. That's a very powerful story, isn't it? Everything is there. Everything is there. Even that single story is enough for a wise person to understand what is going on here in this life and what should be done. And she was fortunate. And she was a very young girl. In India, at that time, the marriageable age was around 15, 16, right? So she was still young. And it is already in the story because that other elderly woman, the nun, Bodhi, asks, right? You are still very young, you are gorgeous, you are in the prime of youth. That means she may be in her 20s or 19, 18, 17, very young. But already she experienced so much pain. And fortunately, she had access to the truth. And she realized This is what I need. And she was about to commit suicide, right? Same like, who is that other girl? A servant girl who was about to commit suicide? Rajumala, right? Rajumala also was about to commit suicide, and she went to a forest to commit suicide. And suddenly she saw the Buddha. Buddha taught him the Dhamma. She became a stream enterer, went back to home. She was very happy from that day on.
Bante,
Mhm.
I have a question that from the story of Arahant Nun Isidasi, does we learn that her bad karma and her good karmas were ripened at the same time? I mean, at the same present time of her life.
Yeah, it
in
was
this
a
life.
mixture. Yeah, it was a mixture of good karma and bad karma. But if she continued her life, there wasn't an opportunity for the good karma to ripen, because more and more hate, regret, depression will block her from reaching the good results of good karma, right? Fortunately, she changed the path. So like that, in your lay life as lay people, if lots of suffering comes from one path you have taken, the best thing is to change the path, and that means you select the Dhamma path without hating husbands, without hating wives, without hating others, without thinking to take revenge, or without getting depressed. You should try to keep precepts. You should try to start like reading Dhamma, studying the Dhamma, practicing meditation. Like that, you should change your path. The normal thing is that if somebody is hurt, they think that it's the fault of the other person. So then we get angry at that other person. If they mistreat us, if they misunderstand us, then we hate other person. That's the normal way of life, the world. But that's not the way to end of these problems, right? Do you like that story?
Yes, Bante.
Any other comments?
Yes, Bante, how are you? How is the monastic Sangha?
Good. We have 3 monks.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We do lots of programs on Zoom.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah, we like doing it. Like to share the teachings.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
We're so blessed. Thank you for coming back. We're so blessed. Thank you.
Bante, I thought it was not interesting, but it was surprising how long Isidasi carried that karma from one lifetime to another, to another, to another.
Yeah, that was a good point, because I want to tell you that actually before, even though when we read it, we see like, okay, hell, she was in hell, and then next life she was in the animal world, next life in the human world. Even though we read like that very quickly, she suffered in hell for a long, long time. Okay. Then only after suffering in hell for maybe hundreds of years, thousands of years, hundreds and thousands of years there, we don't know how long, then only she became an animal. to experience the remaining result of the karma. So that's how it goes. It's not just in 7 days, 7 lives, right? That suffering is unexplainable.
Bhante, I guess at one point when she was a rich young man, the original infraction, I guess it was mentioned that at that point, the young man did not understand the true nature of perception.
Correct. That was the main problem.
Because of his lack of understanding, he decided, he seduced other people's wives. Just wondering if you can elaborate on that part there, the lack of perception and the actions he took.
Yeah, it was because he didn't have the association of noble friends. He didn't have the opportunity to listen to the Dhamma, probably. He didn't do any vipassana practice.
So basically, it's an expansion from not understanding the true nature of perception, expanding that to not understanding the whole nature of the Dhamma.
All nature, yeah. Not
Right.
understanding the Four Noble Truths. That's the main reason.
I see.
Yeah. Sansara is very dangerous, eh?
Yes. Thank you, Bhante.
Some people may not like to learn these things. They will feel like, oh, this is so scary. Maybe it's scary, but if that person, that rich merchant, if he knew this thing, this danger of samsara in that life, Isidasi's 7th life, right? She hadn't done these things. He hadn't engaged in sexual misconduct. Only if he knew this Dhamma. That's the importance of knowing the reality. We should be scared of not knowing the reality. Then we are like blind. We should be scared to living like blind people. We shouldn't be scared to see the truth. Right?
I think also, Bhante, it's once you know the truth, you have to change your behavior. And maybe that's also what people don't want to do.
Yeah, that's very important. Knowing the truth and correcting yourself. But knowing the Dhamma helps a lot to correct ourselves. It is the powerful tool. Learning the Dhamma, studying the Dhamma, investigating the Dhamma.
Bhante,
Mm-hmm.
It's my understanding that karma is exact. The amount of suffering that he experienced for, seducing other people's wives, it seems like it's an imbalance. Too much suffering for what he did in that present lifetime. So I was thinking maybe he had done this, but it's not mentioned in the sutta, maybe, that he had done this over and over and over again in other lives too. I don't know. But to suffer so long in hell for that, and then to experience castration in the, I guess, more briefer lives of animals, it seems like it's an imbalance.
You think like it's too much?
Well, it doesn't seem to balance. Like
that's how we think. That's how we think. So the less, that's what Buddha said. It's like this. When a person's life is not filled with wholesome qualities, even a single evil thing is enough to give a huge amount of pain to that person. It's like this. Buddha teaches a small glass of water becomes salty very quickly when you add a teeny tiny grain of salt. So the tiny grain of salt is like the small evil karma. And that person's life, the person who does not practice wholesome qualities at all, his life is like that small glass of water.
Bhante, is it because when that experience as a man that he seduced other men's wives, that he also has to answer for the pain that he caused the other wives' husbands and the other wives' children and so on and so on and so on. That's why it balances out that way.
Yeah, it's all added.
Okay.
I think also, Bhante, that our perception of this evil doing or wrongdoing is we're looking at it within today's society. And in today's society, that action is not necessarily, so bad because it's so common. But in a time when, these types of wrongdoings were considered, few and far between, then something like that is, seen for what it really is.
Yeah, because, as like ordinary people, we don't know how to analyze the results of karma. It's only by the knowledge of the Buddha that we get some idea. And I can remember there was a movie about like it was produced in Thailand, I think, and it was broadcast here as well from Shraddha TV. And there was that school girl, and remember that story, Arjuna?
Yes, Bhante.
And what happened to her?
Is it okay if I tell some of it at least?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Summary?
Yes, so there was basically a boy and then there was also another girl who lived with the mother. So they were both very young school kids. So at that time, the boy did meet this girl, and then they both had the relationship without the mother knowing. And then what happened, they did engage in sexual misconduct, and what happened, the girl did get pregnant at that time. And then the girl was very worried that the mother would find out. So then what the girl did was she took some pills, which was ended up killing the baby. So it was an abortion. But during that abortion, she died also on the spot at the same time due to the loss of blood. But then what happened was the girl went to the hell. And this is a true story that they made this movie based on.
Yeah, that's a true story from the present world. And when it was like when a group of people watched that movie, one person said the same thing, and he said she was innocent. She was a child, and but now she's in hell. I cannot believe this. It's not fair. That's what that person said. It's not fair according to our conclusion. But who is going to listen to our conclusion? It is the karma. that governs the entire system. It is the natural law. It is the result of killing a human being as an embryo, even though it was an embryo, teeny tiny drop. It was an still human being according to the analysis, the explanation of karma. Yes, she was innocent. She was a child, but there was a killing involved in that. So that is why Buddha teaches this karma thing is not fair. Yeah, it is true. It is not fair. That's why we should not continue this journey. We should escape from this karma. We can totally agree with it that it's not fair. Even for a little thing, we are ended up in hell, right? Even for a little evil thing, we are going to end up in hell. That is why we should not continue this journey. That is the exact point. That is how this natural law is made of. So we have to destroy all our old karma. We have to restrain ourselves from arranging new bad karma. We should take this Dhamma path very seriously. And on the other hand, the result of good actions, when you learn about the results of good actions, then also don't forget to say it is not fair. Because the results of good karma is also unimaginable. Like if you read Vimanavattu, you will see some people who are destined to be reborn in hell just escaped by offering a needle to sew the robes for a monk. That's all what she did. Now you should say it's unfair. Because it's a very small good karma. How come she escaped from that danger of the suffering of hell by just offering a teeny tiny needle to a monk? Because he was a monk of the community of the disciples of the Buddha. It was like a fertile field. His life was like a fertile field. The simile is that even if you throw one seed in a fertile field, you will get huge result, harvest. That's how karma works. In some cases, some girls in India at that time offered a glass of water to a monk. And that was enough for her to be reborn in heaven. And among all the powerful good karma, practicing loving kindness meditation for few minutes is the most powerful good karma. Just doing the loving kindness meditation is the path to take you to Brahma world, the highest world in the realms. Just by doing loving kindness. You can say, there is another person who gives everything he has, millions of dollars, trillions of dollars. He gives everything to other people. He's extremely generous, but he will be only reborn in heaven. But this person, he didn't give anything to others. He was inside a room, inside a house, inside his poor house. He was practicing loving kindness meditation. And he will surpass all the good doers in all the heavens and will be reborn in Brahma world. Isn't that unfair? It is the power of the good karma, and that was the power of the bad karma. Right? So these natural laws, very important to understand. So now that power of the good karma of doing loving kindness meditation is surpassed by this Vipassana meditation we just did in the beginning of the program, just for the time of a finger snap. Buddha teaches, if somebody practices Vipassana meditation as I taught, for the time of a finger snap, it surpasses all the good karma. And it will guarantee the stages of enlightenment. That's how powerful the Vipassana meditation is. Now you understand? So, what to learn, eh?